Hey, Uncle from Practically Real Gaming, and I am still working on the 12 versus or 6 versus 6 team versus team mission here, and just doing some testing here in the editor, and have created the zone restriction so that the U.S. forces to spawn way down here. About the limit of advance is somewhat around here for the Op 4 side. So if I was to come down, plot myself down here, play as character, and move forward just a little bit past the telephone pole here, I should get a notification that I am going a very dangerous direction, entering a restricted zone, and I will be killed. Now back up, get back out of the zone is going to tell me eventually it figures out that I'm back out of the zone, and there we go, you have returned to the area of operations. And if I continue this direction, I enter the first trigger that tells me that I am about to enter the kill zone. If I enter this area, it's actually a second trigger that I'm going to bypass. And then that is actually going to perform the kill. He's so nice. Oh, look at this guy thought he could make it. Maybe I can make it. I'm still alive. Maybe if I just get my weapon. Oh. Yeah, not going to be able to spawn camp. Alright, so that's one less thing Game Master needs to worry about. Again, maybe I get to play in this mission and see how it works out from the field. January 11th, 2 p.m. New York time. Sign-ups in Discord and the PRG events channel. And yeah, maybe we can run this a few times. I think it'd be fun. Hey, so I decided that, you know what, let's open up the editor and get back to showing what is under the hood. So in order to create these restriction zones, what I've done is I've created a trigger. So first I created an area, the US or USSR protection zone layer. And then in that layer, I had to put an area. In that, there's another type of layer, which was what was so confusing to me for a while. There's a layer that you pull from the resource browser, and then there's layers that you can create within your mission. Two different types of layers. Anyway, and then I had to put in this kill trigger. And if I go into this kill trigger, and I won't get into the init and that. These are just all these areas and layers. They're initiated on init. So when the mission is initialized, it activates the layer and then starts looking for the trigger. The trigger itself is activated by the faction key being US. Faction key, I have learned, means that it requires US or USSR if you're using those sides in your faction manager, not the number of the faction. Like 0 in campaign mode is generally USSR, and then 1 is US, so it actually requires the letters. We had to make it for any character, and this was the type of trigger. I've renamed it, but it's a scenario framework trigger entity. So yeah, it was kind of funny because I was thinking that scenario framework trigger probably doesn't work with campaign mode. It's not built for campaign. The scenario framework hasn't been initiated, but it does work. So there we go. I got a countdown timer on this, so that after 15 seconds, when a US character has entered that trigger, it will get. I used when they enter it, show a hint. The hint's not showing, so not sure why that is, but it does run the finish action, and it does kill the entity, and it gets the player. That is using the getter to get the player entity that is triggered this trigger. All right, now, hey, fair enough. This has not been multiplayer tested. I could have problems. So looking for the testing. Maybe it kills all the players on that side. I don't know. I doubt it. Probably just in the trigger. And I could have it draw the shape. So that's how I was doing my testing, and I had it draw the shape in when I was inside the mission as well. So that was kind of nice to do the testing. I could see exactly where the zone was. Outside of that, I created just a copy of the same trigger and made it a little bit bigger. And because again, only the finish actions were really working, but I did get the entity left actions to work here, so it'll pop up and give you your kill warning. I don't know why it repeats the kill warning for so long after you've left the area, and then it takes over and it gives you the player has left the trigger and it's not actually going to trigger the finish action, or I guess it does trigger the finish action. Finish action being that you have entered the zone, and then I guess the trigger is going every 2 seconds. Anyway, so it's 2 triggers. One, you enter a zone, and if I did the draw on that, you'll see that it's a little bit further out, about 50 meters. You got 50 meters or so, I think it is, yeah. To be told turn around, and if you don't turn around, you're going to enter this zone, and 15 seconds after that, you're going to get killed. So that's how I did the protection zone on either side. Obviously, on the other side, it was just a matter of changing the trigger to actually deal with the U.S. U.S. on the USSR side, and USSR, or if I went over here in the layer, I copied the entire, all these objects, and just moved them into another layer on the other side. Out of this. Back here. Got one here, that's the USSR protection zone. Way out here. So, yeah, make sure I turn my draws off. And there you go. That's kind of how it was done. If anybody's got, tips and see that there's something up with this, send me a comment, and there we go. Glad to be getting into Reforger here in the Enfusion Tools finally. Right on.